Michael Saylor just did what nobody thought was possible: break the barrier and get Wall Street's blessing for Bitcoin. For the first time ever, a major credit rating agency just rated a Bitcoin treasury company MicroStrategy. In doing so, it unlocks a monsoon of capital from pensions, sovereigns, countries who can now buy Bitcoin through traditional means and capital flows. And on the same day, we see Larry Fink talking about Bitcoin in roundtables with the wealthiest people in the world. Important political figures like Eric Trump are also backing it. And this came from the efforts of one man telling people to sell their livers and kidneys to buy Bitcoin.
We were sitting at the patio in Mar-a-Lago, Michael and I, and we were kind of geeking out, going down this rabbit hole. And he goes, Eric, you need to take this property. Mar-a-Lago has no debt on it. You need to take this property. You need to mortgage it right now, and you need to go out and buy Bitcoin. By the way, he was dead serious, right? He's the guy that goes out and says, sell your liver and kidney and buy Bitcoin. And by the way, he's probably also...
Because of the work of people like Michael Saylor, Bitcoin is no longer an outsider asset. It's an asset for the insiders. It's becoming the foundation of global credit. This is the beginning of the financial flippening. In 20 years, we won't recognize the system that we are living in today.
Bitcoin is going to become the monetary standard of the world over the next 2 decades. And my grandkids will transact in sats, not dollars. The dollar will be gone.
Bitcoin is the Somali pirate of the financial system.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Bitcoin is the captain now, and Wall Street is finally realizing what's going on. It is becoming the collateral for the next monetary system. We've got a lot to cover today. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. S&P Global assigned Strategy a B- credit rating, marking the first time in history that a Bitcoin treasury company is rated by a Wall Street agency. Sounds boring, but it's not. It's the equivalent of discovering financial fire. This now makes Bitcoin a mainstream asset in the eyes of not just people like BlackRock and institutions, but creditors all across the globe. The most interesting remarks from the credit analysts when reading the report of the credit rating, the B- credit rating that they gave to Strategy, is that when they're actually looking at its credit rating, they're deducting the value of their Bitcoin assets. They're saying the company has negative total adjusted capital, which makes no sense considering they have over $70 billion worth of Bitcoin on their balance sheet with over a 50% profit. Nonetheless, this is a massive milestone. And why is this such a big deal? Well, we can hear about it from MicroStrategy's CEO, Phong Le himself, in a conversation that he had with Natalie Brunell a few months ago.
Are these instruments going to get rated by the credit rating agencies, and is that important?
It is important because there are large pools of institutional capital, insurance funds, pension funds, etc., who are required to invest in their bigger pools of capital into rated securities, right? And so they can take a small pool of capital, like 5%, and put it into unrated security, and it counts against them, in some ways, their balance sheet. But their big pools of capital require rating. They, for the most part, would love to have the types of returns that our fixed income securities provide. But to do so, they need to invest in rated securities, some cases investment grade, some cases junk, some cases in between, right? And so we're working through a process with the big agencies to get rated. I think the agencies are interested in it.
They don't know how to evaluate it, huh?
They move a little slow. And they don't know what to compare it to.
Right.
But they're doing their work. They're smart folks at these agencies who are going through the process and doing the work. And I think, step one is to get a rating. And step two, at some future point in time, is to improve that rating by proving, one, how Bitcoin can be very good collateral, and two, showing our instruments over time performing and paying out, right? And so we're like what we did in 2020 with Bitcoin on a balance sheet of a public company. We're doing that now, really this year, at Bitcoin and preferred instruments and getting them rated.
Step one, check. They got a credit rating. Step two, prove that Bitcoin is pristine collateral. And step three, now MicroStrategy has to step up and perform. They have to make do and pay out on their preferred credit instruments that they put out into the market over the past several months. They're paving the way for a whole new path for institutions to adopt Bitcoin, just like they did in 2020. And because of that, ripple effects have gone across the globe, so much so that people like Larry Fink are now talking about Bitcoin in the roundtables of the wealthiest people in the world.
If you believe that countries are going to continue to debase their currency, if you believe that there's going to be global rise of insecurity, owning crypto assets or gold are assets of fear. You own these assets because you're frightened of the debasement of your assets. You're worried about your financial security. You're worried about your physical security, and between crypto assets and gold, they believe there's a strong belief that is a good hedge against optimism.
Okay. Jamie, you were a little...
The same man who called Bitcoin a scam is now pitching it to heads of state. When Fink blesses Bitcoin and crypto at large, it's regulation ready. And just like Larry Fink, Wall Street went from mocking Bitcoin to monetizing it. First they laugh at you, then they copy you. But here's the interesting thing that he said. If you believe that countries will continue to debase their currency, then gold and crypto are a good investment. They're a hedge against optimism. Where clearly central banks across the globe are betting that countries will continue to debase their dollar. So much so that gold holdings from central bankers are about to cross their dollar reserve holdings. S&P Global said that Bitcoin is a material weakness on Strategy's balance sheet, but that's actually dollars. Dollars are the weakness. And the wealthiest people in the world understand this. And Eric Trump gives us a preview into exactly what they're thinking and how the tide has shifted from Bitcoin being a risk asset to an asset that the insiders just buy. Insiders like sovereign wealth funds and nations.
Why should any government be buying Bitcoin? Because it's the single greatest performing asset over the last decade, increasing in value 70% a year over year, every year. Like Germany a couple years ago, there was a great article. You might know the exact numbers, but Germany had like 30,000 Bitcoin or something along those lines, and they sold it right away. They monetized it into their currency, and it was like the worst investment ever made by a government. And by the way, that's a pretty damn low bar, as you know, right? The government should definitely have certain crypto assets on their balance sheet, mainly Bitcoin. And actually the United States government does, right? You have a lot of forfeitures.
Correct.
And they've taken a great stance saying that we're not selling any of it. You have a lot of countries around the world that are actively buying. If you go to, the UAE, if you go to a lot of countries, they are actively putting that in their treasuries. And you look at the Fortune 500 companies, they are actively hoarding Bitcoin. The biggest families, the biggest companies, countries, sovereign wealth funds, and individuals are all hoarding Bitcoin, right? It's why it's been as explosive as it is. And it's funny, people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin's down like 3% now. It's like this time last year, Bitcoin was at like 55,000 or 60,000 roughly. It's had unbelievable explosive growth.
Germany selling Bitcoin was the single worst decision that a country's probably ever made. Their position of 50,000 Bitcoin that they sold around 60K per Bitcoin, well, it's cost them about $3.5 billion. And like the German government, people that continue to play old games, well, they get old prizes. The strategies of the world are going to be the new leaders. Listen to Andrew Hahn speak about the fact that the S&P 500 is going to look completely different in 20, 30 years than it does today. And it's going to be led by the companies that adopt a Bitcoin strategy now.
I think that we're going to see a big rotation in terms of the household names of corporate finance over the course of the next probably 15 to 30 years. And the only companies in the S&P 500 that will stay in the S&P 500 30 years from now are going to be those companies which over the course of the next 5 to 10 years add Bitcoin to their balance sheet and embrace digital capital. The ones that fail to make this transition are going to fall out of the echelon where they've become very accustomed. The ones that do make the transition will be able to take advantage of all of their market position, their manufacturing facilities, their product offerings, their research and development, and grow them stronger. And many new companies will enter into those ranks, and they'll become tomorrow's household names.
More capital, more companies, more countries are flowing into Bitcoin, which is de-risking the asset at large. And it's also assigning a premium to the companies in countries and people that have gotten in first and have started to accumulate major positions. And that's going to make it pristine collateral. an asset that's held by more and more people when the volatility decreases and it's not sold as often. Russell Okung has a great perspective on this. He tweeted the other day, there's never been a better time to be a banker, because when they write loans against Bitcoin, or against Bitcoin as the collateral, you can write longer loans and watch the risk shrink. You don't need a central bank to set the rates of what you will apply to the loan itself. And it's because the asset itself, Bitcoin, ensures the credit. Bitcoin is restoring honest banking, and it's restoring a free market capitalistic system that isn't based upon trust me, bro. And that's exactly why we have backed Ledin, who's been the leaders in this revolution in terms of Bitcoin since 2018. They've issued over $9 billion worth of loans to tens of thousands of customers all across the globe. And they just published their proof of reserves. It's their 10th, and it just dropped, the longest running for any digital lender. They have over $836 million worth of loans with an aggregate of 42.68 loan to value, and it's 100% collateralized, meaning that your Bitcoin is where they say it is, and it's actually healthier than the 50% loan to value. Which means if you want a $1,000 fiat loan, which gets into your account in less than 6 hours, well, you post $2,000 of Bitcoin collateral. There's no credit checks, and the process takes just a few minutes. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply to get started with the most pristine collateral that even Wall Street is adopting. And our second sponsor is the Bitcoin Way, the leaders in helping you with coaching to help you to understand and protect your generational wealth the right way. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the team at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin, and a member of their team will talk to you on the phone, listen to your scenario, your situation, and walk you through step-by-step exactly what you need to do to not only secure your Bitcoin, but remove it from exchanges and be confident in holding your Bitcoin so you can pass it along to future generations. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation at thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin. Sometimes we don't give people their flowers until they're gone. And although I don't own any Bitcoin treasury company stocks or shares, I have to give credit for Michael Saylor for single-handedly educating and blazing a trail where no one else would go. What he's done has been nothing short of extraordinary. I do believe that he will go down as one of the greats in corporate history.
I mean, Michael Saylor has been an incredible force over the course of the last 5 years. And I think that his work at MicroStrategy, now Strategy, will be right up there with the greats of corporate history. You know, John Rockefeller and DuPont and Steve Jobs. I mean, he's going to be right up there.
When I listen to this clip from Jack, I think about the ripple effects that the impact that people like him and Michael Saylor are having on the world. What a single person can do to spread the message of hope to people through their media channels, through their influence, and help people to understand that there is a better way for us to store our time and our energy, and a better reason and purpose for why we should do that.
Do you understand the concept of time and energy and contributions to society? Then a fancy car isn't ever worth the Bitcoin that I've worked to acquire. And so I only trade and exchange my Bitcoin for experiences for people I love, to be honest. I mean, how beautiful is it? How beautiful of an idea, I guess, is it that, you know, we can make the world a better place for the people that we care about the most. And so Bitcoin taught me that. It really lowered my time preference and taught me the value of things. I think it's really impossible to value things if there's an infinite amount of dollars. I like to draw this similarity to the promise of death. This is going to get potentially a little weird or dark, but you know, it's the promise of
We
death.
invite that. I invite that.
It's the promise of death that allows us to value our life. If I was never going to die and I knew that, then I'd go to the gym in 1,000 years. I'd think to get married in 10,000 years. I would never care to value today. And that's very similar to the dollar. If there's infinite amounts of dollars and we're going to roll this debt over forever, then how do I value my paycheck right now? And so I think what death means to life, Bitcoin means to money and to value. And so Bitcoin gave me that finite promise that allows me to value the time and energy that I spend right now. And it's not worth expending a tremendous amount of my time and energy on a yellow car that goes really fast. In the same way that knowing that I'm going to die, it's not worth ever wasting a day, a week, a year.
We have to understand that the reason that we want to preserve our energy is that we're all humans. We're fragile and we could die any day at any moment. And it's 100% guarantee that we will die. It's a mathematical certainty like Bitcoin's code. And so the message is, like Michael Saylor, get up and do something, be productive with your life, go build something, go be part of something in the future, make your days count. Let's live our lives in light of a bigger mission and a bigger purpose. And that's what I want to call you to do today. In light of this monumental announcement from Michael Saylor and Strategy becoming the first credit-rated Bitcoin treasury company, it's a testament to the impact that a single person can have on an entire industry and the world. Go make your mark on the world, leave it a better place than you found it, because you will die one day. What are you storing your time and your energy and your wealth into? Is it going to preserve it or is it going to waste it? Don't waste your time, your energy, or your capital. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. And if you haven't already bought your tickets down to the Bitcoin Mining Expo of the year happening in Dallas, Texas from November 11th through November 13th, we'll do so and use the promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off your tickets. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking and go make today count. We're out.